recently picked up this vintage Daiwa 8600 from a seller on eBay. I've had my eye on these for quite a while now. These are very unique reels. The 8600 is part of a family of reels that varied in size. The 8600 is the second largest in the series. To the best of my knowledge, it was the first worm gear drive spinning reel on the market that incorporated 3 ball bearings into the design. These began production in the late 1960s and ran through the very early 1970s. I don't know for sure why they stopped production, but my best guess is that they were expensive to produce and they were also expensive for the consumers to buy. These reels were way ahead of their time. In fact, I don't think anyone else made a multi-ball bearing worm gear driven reel again until the now famous Abu Garcia Souverain reels that were built in Sweden. I believe those were built in the early 2000s. And they are also considered by some to be the best spinning reels anyone has ever made. The Daiwa 8600 reels have a note on the rotors that they were engineered and developed in California, USA, and manufactured in Japan. I would guess that some of the people involved in developing the hugely popular pin spin fishers that came out in the early 1960s were probably also involved in developing this reel for Daiwa. The similarities are obvious and the time frame would seem to match up too. I had high expectations for this reel before I received it, and it did not disappoint. Daiwa really came into their own as reel manufacturers in the late 1960s and the early 70s. They built some very durable reels during that period, and these reels were probably the cream of the crop. I plan on using this reel as a heavy-duty catfishing reel. It has a line capacity of 270 yards of 15-pound mono. It has drop forged worm drive gears, 3 ball bearings. There's 2 on the main drive gear and 1 on the pinion gear, and an all cast aluminum body and rotor. The bell trip mechanism is the smoothest I've seen in any modern or vintage reel. The clicker and reverse uses a very fine tooth gear that limits the backwards travel of the gears to just a few degrees. The overall build quality of these reels is very high. The gear ratio is very low. It's 3.7 to 1, and that'll be just fine for live bait fishing. And if you do hook up with a really big catfish, this reel wouldn't even break a sweat bringing it in. These were built for saltwater fishing, so it will live a good life in its old age in a freshwater environment with me. It has some battle scars, but I'm going to leave it as is and call them character marks. I cleaned everything up on the reel before I took any pictures or video footage. It was a bit of a mess on the inside because of all the old dried up grease. Now I'm going to show the reel being reassembled and lubricated in high speed. If you'd like to see the reassembly process in a slower speed, you can adjust the speed of the playback in the YouTube settings area for the video and slow it down a bit. Thanks for watching, and tight lines to you all.